How's it going, guys, and welcome to your Smackdown review. So, I already talked about the Bray Wyatt situation, so if you're wondering why I'm not mentioning it here, that's because I made a separate video of it, and video's really been blowing up, and thank you to all of you for that. I do appreciate it. Everyone wanting to see what I have to say about that, and I've noticed that a lot of times. It seems like individual videos on topics seem to sometimes get more views, so that's why I've been trying to put more of those out for you guys. You seem like you really enjoy it, and I appreciate that you want to take the time to hear my opinion on these sorts of things. But we're going to talk about SmackDown now, and this show, I mean, there was some good, and a lot of stuff that I really didn't care about at all, and some really confusing things as well. So we started off actually really strong with Cena in the ring cutting a promo, and it is a good point that they're saying that Stone Cold, The Rock, they all stuck to their guns and did sort of the same stuff. But then again, no, that's actually really wrong what Cena's saying. When The Rock came back from Hollywood, he changed everything around. Remember when he was getting booed? He didn't just come back like a baby face like they do nowadays. They actually fed into the audience and, to try to deflect those boos. They didn't try to ignore them and try to come up with this stuff. He divides the audience, so at least he gets a reaction. We've ranted on this time and time again. I have said that, my opinion on Cena, I like him. I do think that he is an incredible talent. I think he is really good at promos. It's just the character that they've given him all these years. He started off really strong, but then when they got into the PG era, that's when things started to go south, and they started to have him cut goofy promos, and he was stuck with that for years and years. So I do like his style of promos, what he had right here. The thing he said about Stone Cold coming back with his name just sounded weird. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. Or like The Rock, too small, the too small Johnson thing. I mean, that was funny. You could argue it's a juvenile joke, but that was a little bit better. So Cena's like a mixed bag, really. But it would have been really, good. I was actually thinking about this. If he came out dressed to the nine in a suit instead of, thing is, Cena's always coming out in those shirts, and they're just, why are they so colorful? The goofiness of them, the green and and the yellow and all these other designs. I don't know how much yellow was it really in it, but you had the wristbands and everything. Like the colorful appearance. Aren't we supposed to be getting away from the whole PG era? I mean, we're talking about missionary position here. And of course, the dirt sheets got it wrong. They put out a story, Ringside News, which I see all over Facebook. It's posted in the Wrestling Gods all the time. These guys, they've been reposting the CM Punk Daniel Bryan story 1,000 times. And I'm like, and one caption actually says, in case you forgot. No, I don't think I forgot. I think I remember you reporting that quite a few times, and you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know if they've signed, if they're thinking about signing. There's still negotiations. So I think it's time to put that story on hold. But they reported that they censored Roman Reigns. And I saw this, I'm like, oh shit, they, come on, that line, that one little line that they were gonna, they were gonna edit that out of all future broadcasts. And I'm here thinking they're gonna edit that off when they post it up on Peacock and all that. And sure enough, they play the recap from last week, and Roman Reigns repeats it at the top of the first hour. So that was a lie. If you read the article, they said that they took it off of YouTube and it was a false, fake news wrestling story. It really shows that the dirt sheets are just that, dirt. You know, dirt, like digging up dirt. People will always like kind of make that's why they call him that. No, it's because it's trash, garbage, always was, always will be. So you can't listen to that stuff. Cena had a funny crack about, you know, if someone could do missionary that well for as long as he has, then you know you should hold on to that person. So there was some pretty funny stuff. Nothing groundbreaking, but like I said, Cena's fun. Things are more lively when he's there. I mean, you gotta at least admit that about him. You know, I'm the guy who's always talking about, you know, we'll never surpass the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era. So, you know, I'm saying this is nowhere near any of the stuff we saw from Cena in the Ruthless Aggression Era, but his character has improved. He's broken that barrier. They got to get rid of the stupid shirts already. Stop. And you see two goofballs, grown men in the crowd dressed up in those shirts. I mean, have some self-respect to dress like that. Like, it's pretty obvious that those are, like, intended for kids, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, they do sell them in adult sizes, so I don't really know. Anyway, Baron Corbin comes out, and this, I gotta say, was really entertaining. The interaction between Corbin and Cena, Corbin asking him for money. Cena says, "This is all I got," and he, like, hands him a wad of bills, and Corbin calls him, like, a cheapskate and the sellout. And Cena ends up just attitude adjusting him in the ring. And I thought it was a pretty funny thing. Corbin, this character, it's hard to explain, but it's original. It's funny. We haven't really ever seen anything like this, like a broke character before. So it is funny. And even the stuff we saw last week, you know, and him getting mugged and him being down on his luck and just like an unlucky wrestler. I can't really, you know, remember the last time I've seen, like, an unlucky wrestler. You know, you've had, like, losing streaks and stuff like that, but that's kind of about the extent of it. So I find this to be entertaining, and it was a good way to kick off the show. And I like the Cena just came down to the ring. I mean, he runs to the ring, so it's hard for him to take a while, but, you know, we got right into it. There was some funny stuff there, you know. It didn't really, you didn't really get any interaction with Reigns. I mean, it would have been better to have kind of Cena, you know, looking around for Reigns. But, you know, they already fucked that up last week because it just ended with Cena not coming out when Reigns came out at the end. That would have made the most sense. It just kind of seemed like Cena was okay. He just left the building. Even though Heyman tells him last week that he's going to come out later in the show as Reigns. So the storytelling is just so bizarre. How could it be that they just don't care that much, even on the small details, to even just make a little sense out of it? But yeah, I can't really complain too much. Like I said, I was entertained this first segment. I thought it was funny. I found myself actually kind of laughing a few times. It was well done, well acted, and put together. Rey Mysterio and Dominic are backstage, and I've said this before. I've never seen just like this is supposed to be the first ever father-son tag team, and it's the first like main like long-standing father-son tag team. I can't believe Dominic has already been in WWE as an active competitor for over a year already. I'm like, wow. Anyway, you know, and the guy still hasn't worked out a day since then. Hey, you know, besides the point, I suppose. But they're so unnatural with each other backstage. You know, Ray is like doing his thing, but Dominic is just like, yeah, Dad, I believe in you. Like, he's like a grown man, and he's still kind of acting like a child still, like in front of the camera. And I'm like, why can't they just have him act naturally? Like this little small segment right here, you're worried that someone will say something out of line here, that this even has to be scripted? Because it sounds terrible. Yes, Dad, I believe in you. I mean, like, okay, like we have to be robotic to say like just a single sentence? Like we couldn't just at least reword this just a little bit to sound a bit more naturally? Anyway, Ray goes on to defeat Jimmy Uso. Once again, the heels, they're the ones that get beat by the baby faces cheating, as Dominic has to assist Rey Mysterio. All this talk about Rey Mysterio being the lucha legend and all that, and he needs to get help in order to win the match. I'm sorry, but Edge had said something that the dirt sheets were reporting, and he actually did say this. It was a quote that Rey Mysterio is an underappreciated legend, and you bet your ass he is. I mean, you think back, I sit back watching this show, and I think back to all the great Rey moments. I think back to just all the great matches, with Edge and Rey Mysterio. Remember that when you had the SmackDown 6, Kurt Angle, Benoit, the Guerreros, and Edge and Rey Mysterio teaming together, and you had all those great 2 out of 3 falls matches. Just endless great entertainment from those guys, and those were some of the most athletic matches. People talk about, AEW is the pinnacle of an NXT and all this shit. You haven't seen anything. If you're saying that trash is the greatest thing you've ever seen, you haven't seen those matches, for example. Those were masters of their craft. Talk about well-paced, the selling, the believability. It was all there for all to see. It's on Peacock. You should go watch it, for God's sakes. But yeah, you have to cheat to win when you're a babyface. I don't get this, and we're going to talk about this later on. Seriously, the classic way of booking baby faces and heels, it's just it's no holds barred. It's whatever, right? Just let's book them however. Doesn't matter what kind of character. Doesn't matter we're supposed to be chilling. Yeah, he cheated. You know what I'm saying? Does anyone seem to understand that? You're supposed to be cheering people that cheated to win? No, you're supposed to be booing those people. Anyway, we get Bianca Belair coming out, and I know that this just kind of sounds pointless to keep on mentioning every week, but I just get new ideas. I'm just saying what is up with skipping to the ring, twirling the hair, just dancing? Every week you're just dancing. We never had any wrestler doing this every single time they came out dancing. It was never really a top guy. You had Too Cool. They did it after the match. They did it in a comical way, but this is supposed to be serious, and I just can't help but every time I look at this, I have a hard time taking her serious. Seriously, we saw her at the ESPYs. That was, like you said, that was a much preferable look to me. But whatever, they want to go with the hair gimmick, so that there's no turning around from that. They've already decided she's the hair girl. That's who they're going to go with. And that there's no way they're going to stop, because them. We're already talking about Cena, and they'll just, like a Mack truck, they'll just keep plowing on through, doing the same thing, even if it doesn't work. But she comes out. We got Carmella coming out. And of course, you know how this works. It can't just be Carmella coming out. She wants another match. She's claiming that, when they were at Rolling Loud, the bright lights were in her eyes. So out comes Zelina Vega. And what is up with this? Doing Sub-Zero. Remember maskless Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat 3? Doing this? What's up with this? What is up with Liv Morgan went, "Urgh!" and Ronda Rousey went, "Oh!" and just all these weird, it's Halloween. I get it, that's the thing, women makeup, yeah, we get it, but you don't have to make all these weird things, because it detracts. I'm serious, I see that, and I'm Zelina Vega is a good-looking girl, and you're just kind of just putting this right here, and you're just yeah, I know it's obviously her finger's not in front of her face, but you get what I'm saying. It's a big line just going down, and I'm why does that need to be there? Does that add to the character? Does that add to the presentation? Maybe some people will argue that it will. A strip of paint. Like, I don't get it. It just looks weird. It's distracting. People just will say, why is that there? Wrestling, right? Like, that's just basically the explanation there. I'm a wrestler, so I'm going to paint my face. Sorry, you're not Jeff Hardy. You're not Demolition. You're not the Road Warriors. So, you know what I mean? Like, not everyone has to have a little weird something on their face. Ooh! It's pointless. Anyway, she comes out, overly scripted promo, and Bianca Belair turns her back to Carmella, gets attacked from behind, and out comes Sasha Banks. That's right, she's back. No explanation where she's been. Is she being injured? No, we haven't seen her since Mania. Yeah, we haven't seen her since Mania. So what's been going on all those months? What's she been up to, right? Like, just like with Zelina Vega. No explanation, no nothing. You know, we know that there was some controversy there, and we're not going to hear about it. It's just like, well, she's back. And the weird thing is, it's like she comes out, running out in her like her wrestling attire, not even in the street clothes, so she's already dressed to compete, and they're not even going to have the main event match that this forms like an hour later. So, you know, like, just you say it like from time and time again, like, attention to detail. There was no attention to detail here. Like, she came back, this is her first time back, and she's already in her attire. Like, I actually didn't think that the first time I saw it, but I'm actually like looking at it, and I was like, she came back running out like that, and you never would see this. Like, I always compare it, because I'm always watching Attitude Era, you know, Raws, and now I'm up to January in 2000 on Peacock, and I've been watching ever since the WWE Network, and I stopped consistently watching for a while, and you know, sometimes you get like sick of it. But I went back and really got into it. I'm like, you know, comparing, The Rock would come out, Triple H, they're all dressed in their street gear. Here, like, we're just walking around. We walk into the arena already dressed in our attire. I'm ready to go. Like, I mean, huh? I don't get it. Like, she's more dressed up coming out to the ring than she is, like, coming out for a run-in. Like, does anyone think about this stuff, or is it just me? I'm just like, it just looks weird to me, especially when we compare it. It's not a big deal. I'm not happy that Sasha's back, but, you know, whatever. You know, people are fans of her. I got a big reaction. Crowd was actually going pretty crazy, but the crowd's full of marks. What do I know? Anyway, we get Reggie in the back, or Reginald, or whatever he wants to be called now. No accent. Yep, we're dumping that, you know. So we've got people like Apollo Crews gaining accents, and now we have Reginald pulling a Kofi Kingston, and all of a sudden, this is gone, and now he's just talking like this. He's regular. Just, yeah, whatever. He's suddenly American. Well, what do you know? Isn't that funny, like, that we just write, you know, we don't want you to do the accent anymore. That's like if Sheamus just, like, after years just was like, hey, you know what, guys? I've just been faking that all along. Like, you know, why don't you just insult people's intelligence just a little bit more? Why don't you just come out and just say in the promo, you dumbasses actually believe that I was from another country? Like, like, it's just amazing. And what's even more amazing is this match. Like, again, I don't know if anyone caught it. I'm sure people are going to catch on to this. But the 24/7 title. What is the deal about this? All of a sudden, you know, the 24/7 title comes out of nowhere. We don't see it for months and months and months and months and months. I know it's mostly on Raw, but now it's on SmackDown, apparently. But you didn't even really see it on Raw. Like, the times when I've watched Raw, unless I'm missing some backstage segments that weren't on YouTube or something, there was no 24/7 championship, like, segments. So it was pretty much forgotten about. I didn't even know that Tozawa was the champion, because sometimes these things happen online. Like, they show them in YouTube matches sometimes, I see. You know, you had, like, this title was with Rick Moss for, like, a few weeks. It's had just, like, the weirdest history. Mick Foley introduced this thing. It was presented supposedly like supposed to be the hardcore championship with the same rule applied to it, but we didn't get hardcore matches. There's no weapons. There's no interesting scenarios like with Crash Holly. No cool moments like with Steve Blackman or anything like that. No, you don't get any of that. You know what instead you get? You get stuff like this. How the fuck does this match end in a disqualification? So, we've got Otis and Chad Gable, you know, and we've got Chad Gable. We hear on commentary from Pat McAfee touting that he was in the Olympics. I think back to, like, I always think about this, like, Chad Gable's in great shape. He's a good wrestler. And I think back to, like, you know, what happened with that whole Kurt Angle gimmick with Jason Jordan. Remember that stuff? Remember when they chose Jason Jordan for some reason over Chad Gable? You know, when it was kind of obvious that if they were going to pick one of those guys, I don't know, they probably should have picked the Olympian. That probably would have made the most sense. But they didn't take that route. Instead, you know what they did? They ended up going with the other guy who's not the Olympian. Like, you know, we talked about that when it happened. And I did like Jason Jordan. But, you know, like, looking now, this guy has gone nowhere. Now, all of a sudden, we're supposed to take him seriously. And this comes hot off the heels of Shorty G. You know, just total madness that this is a guy, like I'm saying, this is how they this is how they think someone's going to get over. And then surprisingly, when it doesn't work, they'll revert them back. And, you know, then he's supposed to be back to the athletic guy. And, okay, well, you know, thing is, the spotlight is supposed to be on Otis. And I could already see it happening. They're already kind of losing their focus here. Because here he is involved in this shit. And, well, you know, this was totally worthless. It really was. So we got, you know, Otis throwing Reginald out of ring. Very impressive. You know, he's doing the Sin Cara entrance. Bouncing off the pad. We're supposed to believe that he's, you know, that he's actually jumping that high, I suppose. But, anyway. So, there's a disqualification because Otis got involved. And I'm like, so a title can change hands outside the ring, but no one gets counted out or disqualified or anything like that. Okay. So, like, you know, we've seen these before, but it's really weird when they actually just have a regular match. And I get they did that with the hardcore title. They used to do it all the time. Sometimes you'd have matches for it, like in the ring, that would start in the ring. Sometimes you'd have them and they might be at Fun Time USA. But the thing is, here, we're getting a disqualification. Okay? Like, how does that even make any sense at all? There's no sense to be made out of it. Even the announcers can't make any sense out of it. Even Pat McAfee tries his damnedest on commentary. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? There's a disqualification in the match where there's all this tomfoolery, you know, backstage and people running after each other and running around the ring, and now here it just ends with a DQ. Okay, very random decision making there. Then we get a contract signing. You know, and I guess you could say this was better than your average contract signing because something actually interesting happened in it. And here's something where Pat McAfee did come in handy. I don't know if he was told to say this, but I did like it. So we got Roman. Roman is pretty much just, you know, talking down to Finn Balor. Balor's basically saying nothing. His only comeback is, yeah, I will... He said, I'll smash you so bad, I'm going to send you back to NXT. Roman says to Balor. Balor says, well, yeah, he says, I'll go back to NXT, but with the title. And like, okay, great comeback there, Finn. Can't imagine why they sent you down to NXT, but, you know, just seeing Balor sit there with Roman Reigns, Are we even supposed to believe that that is a SummerSlam main event? Scary to believe that 6 years ago or 5 years ago, however long it was ago, that he won that Universal title and was actually the first one to win it. Remember that? Remember that horrible decision making that we, and he beat Roman Reigns to earn that honor? How laughable was that? Anyway, Corbin comes out to attack him before he's able to sign the contract. I thought that this was pretty funny. He throws Balor like right into the timekeeper's hair. Like, it was a hard-ass throw. Right before he's about to sign it, looking all messed up. And, Cena comes out, throws him into the ring post, and he signs his name. And, I like how McAfee says, is that even legal? Because it is, like, just fucking ridiculous. Like, this is a contract. And McAfee says, like, can I just bust into like a boardroom meeting and just sign someone's contract and like I'm all of a sudden factored into the deal? Like, it is just ridiculous when you kind of think about it, which just makes these contract signings ridiculous, but at least it was fun. At least there was something surprising how they got from point A to point B, and they weren't just lazy about it. It wasn't like Cena coming out to Balor saying, like, this is my match, and Balor just giving him the opportunity out of respect. They could have done something really lame and dumb like that, but they didn't. But the thing is, really, at the end of the day, like, was this even necessary to have Reigns refuse the challenge when we got it anyway? You know what I'm saying? It's just, we already know it's going to happen. No, Cena came back just so he could go back home. You know what I mean? He came out at Money in the Bank. He, left his fancy Hollywood gig, to come back to wrestling just so he could go. Like, come on. Like, aren't we past this already? Like, I'm just so sick and tired of them doing the same old tricks that never worked. They got away from a time, but now they're going back to... I'm saying these are like mistakes that they'd make way, way, way back in the day when they were really struggling. And here we are making those same goofy-ass mistakes. But, like, there was effort here. And just the stuff with Corbin, I just think it works. I really like how he acted really desperate here. Like, he wanted to be in that match, and get the opportunity so he can make more money. I guess that will probably be the story next week, and I hope that they do follow up on it strong. Then up next, we get just weirdness. Big E comes out, and we're told there's a 6-man tag match, but we can't see who's in the ring. Six-man tag. You can see like a leg. I see a leg. I see one, but I can't see who's in there. There's someone in the ring. Apparently there is, but we can't see. They're not telling us yet. Big E comes out, followed by King Nakamura, and he doesn't even have his crown on anymore, so he's not really King Nakamura, and even though his Titantron says it, and the announcers are saying it, but Cesaro's already in the ring, and then we pan the camera, and oh, look at that, the opposing team's already in there. The former tag team champions who were champs just a month and a half ago. Whoa, look at that. And the Intercontinental Champion is already in the ring. Isn't that grand? They're getting the jobber entrance. Oh, boy, I wonder who's going to win this match if they didn't even get an entrance. I wonder who's going to win this one. The Intercontinental Champion? So in other words, the most important guy in this match who has the highest distinction, he doesn't even get an entrance. Okay, like, that to me was bizarre as hell. Like, this is like a squash match entrance, and it's not really booked like a squash match, but, this was just like a whatever 6-man tag. It was completely pointless. No stories told, no purpose whatsoever. What is Cesaro's beef with any of these people? No one knows, no one cares. What does Robert Roode and Ziggler have problems with? Like, huh? Like, what? Why is this match even happening? Just a random cold match to fill space to get these guys out there to give them a win? And go ahead. Intercontinental Champion doesn't matter anymore. I mean, like, honestly, could that belt be any more worthless at this point? I mean, you gave the belt to him and you had the focus on it where you looked like everyone wanted it with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn isn't even on the show, by the way. Then they follow up with something also that really just threw me for a loop. Edge comes out. Edge is like, he's about to make his entrance. We go to commercial break, and okay, we're going to commercial break during an entrance. I guess some people will be interested in Edge, whatever. But we come back and we see Seth Rollins standing in the ring, and I almost said what did the video jump or something on my computer? I'm like, and no, they say well, this is what happened during the commercial break, and there was a whole beatdown. Once in a while you would see this. You'd come back from a commercial break and they'd show you this happened during the break, but it's so rare, and they haven't done that, and I gotta say they haven't done it in years, at least. To put it just modestly, years, I haven't seen it in God knows how long. But I don't know, it just seemed to have Edge there just for his entrance, and then he's gone, and we waited an hour into the show to see Edge. Edge should have been within the first half an hour of this show, bare minimum. First 20 minutes, maybe. Right after you saw Cena and Corbin, he should be right there. That's your guy. He just came back not too long ago, and you're already saying oh, you can wait till later in the show. Okay? It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, so we go, Rollins comes back from the break. Oh, it's replay time. Roll the footage, and we get all the replays of everything we already saw. Seth starts screaming again. I get bored and I'm losing interest. Seriously, that's what we get. Hey, all the beatdown happened during the break, but here's some replays when we come back. Okay. Very random. Credit to them for trying something different, but I don't think it quite worked. And then we get our main event. It's Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair defeating Zelina Vega and Carmella. Not a bad match, I suppose. I gotta say, I didn't think it was really that bad or terrible or anything. Competent match. I never said that, Belair or, I've said Belair's a decent wrestler. I don't really like using her hair as a weapon and all that goofy shit. And I've said that I like Carmella. Zelina Vega, the verdict's still out. I don't really see all the appeal. And as far as I'm concerned, her and Liv Morgan, they just made that Money in the Bank match look horrendous. And I don't know if we could just chalk it up to she's just a little dainty flower and she's just not cut out for that sort of match. But yeah, Sasha Banks is back. Woohoo, whatever. No explanation why she's not there. And the thing is, she's coming out with Bianca Belair, and I didn't talk about this before, but it makes sense that she saved Belair because, we saw she was smiling at ringside, even though she was sort of supposed to be the heel, even though she wasn't really a full-blown heel in that match. She was kind of like a tweener, or sort of like a heel, kind of like a heel. So, I guess it sort of made sense that she would come and save her, kind of, at least they didn't ignore the fact that she was smiling like a goofball for being proud of Bianca Belair, and she was crying. She was crying too. Everyone was crying at me. Remember that? We talked about that when it happened. And, at the end of the match, Sasha turns on Bianca, so now she's a full-blown heel. And the funny thing is, she's got her locked in the bank statement. And we got, again, the babyface tapping out like crazy. This is, you have your babyface tapping out. When did you ever see this? Seriously, big baby faces back in the day. You ever see Cena tapping out? You ever see Rock tapping out? You ever see just, any baby face of any kind tapping out? The Batista tap out? I mean, maybe those are poor comparisons. But, even Trish Stratus, did she tap out Lita when she was a baby face? Did she tap? No. No. Because you don't want to have your baby face being a quitter. So you never see them tap out. They would pass out in the hold and stuff like that. But, all of a sudden, the tap out is like the go-to method now. And I was just kind of like, okay, she's tapping out. She puts her back in and she taps out again. All right. I mean, at least it kind of ends with something. It's not that shocking. Sasha's a heel again. She's a heel. She's a baby. She's a tweener. She's a heel again. And we're back to this again. Anyway, I guess you could say it ended more interestingly. It's not something I'm particularly interested in, but it was getting a good reaction from the live crowd, I guess. They were acting appropriate. As goofy as those people are, I mean, they were reacting to positive things like the baby face getting saved. They did react to, like, Sasha. They booed when she when she snuck up behind and hit her with the backstabber. So, like, this wasn't like a total Markish crowd. Like, the crowd did, I should say more like a smarkish crowd. There wasn't like annoying chants. Like, they were cheering the baby faces and booing the heels, which was nice to see. That's kind of what you expected from a wrestling show for years and years. And they got away from that, within the past few years. But past few shows, it seems like we're back to that. I could do without singing, during Nakamurphy's entrance and all that, but, whatever. I guess you can't get everything. But the show stealer here for me was Corbin and Cena and their interactions. I think there's still something to be had there. Corbin's character is just golden to me. There's a lot of brilliance here. I know that there's a reason, because it does make sense. Why did they trademark Happy Corbin? Because he's down on his luck. He's depressed. He's desperate. And now he's happy. It's going to happen. They're going to ruin it. Hey, what did I say about Bray Wyatt more than 2 years ago, guys, right? And you had no choice but to say that I was right. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but guys, come on. Let's just look at the track record here of the way things go. When something has been promising in the past few years, it always ends up this way. We always get the disappointment, the come down off the high. That's how it always goes. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the show down in the comments down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell to get all the notifications when I post on my new videos. And I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.